Good afternoon, Professor and classmates. I'll be giving my speech on persuasion. The goal of my speech is to persuade you all that basketball is the world's new favorite sport. Now, how many of you all are familiar with the term baseball is America's favorite pastime? And how many of y'all ever thought or wondered, is that actually true, or is that just based on old statistics way back when? Well, I'm here to push basketball into the conversation and hopefully persuade you all to look further into the popularities of not just sports throughout America, but throughout the world as well. Like many young men and women in this class, I was afforded the opportunity to play sports at a young age. With that said, I chose basketball, and with that, I ventured onto a path in which I'm still on to this very day. As time has gone, I've noticed the consistent growth of the popularity of basketball throughout my community as well as throughout America. The NBA has evolved to become a platform for societal issues such as social justice, as well as it's become a platform for advocating the globalization of basketball. So with a forward-thinking organization such as the NBA being the number one advocate for the game of basketball and being the gateway to basketball essentially for the world, I feel that having the NBA is only going to push basketball further. Being a lifelong fan of basketball, whether it's the WNBA, NBA, or college basketball, I consider myself to be somewhat knowledgeable about the game. With that said, I've done extensive research into the reasons why I feel that the game of basketball is on an uphill trajectory when considering the popularity of the sport. Over the years, basketball has been known to many as a lesser sport when considering the top tiers of sports such as football and baseball in America. But with that said, the continuous growth and evolution of basketball, as well as the impact it's had on societal issues, as well as its continuous growth in America, as well as the world, has led me to believe that it's already surpassed both the MLB and the NFL in terms of popularity in the world. First, I will talk about the globalization of basketball, and then I will talk about the effects the NBA has had on the societal issues in America, and then lastly, I will finish up with talking about the continuous growth of basketball throughout the world. According to Harris in 2018, in a newspaper article in ESPO, he wrote, in China, there are 300 million people in a country of almost 1.4 billion who actively play basketball, either recreationally or as part of their school teams or professionally. This quote to me just illustrates the globalization of basketball and how it's pushed itself not only west but east as well, and how there's no boundaries anymore to really how far the game has gone with social media and everything becoming evident. The second quote I found was from Harris as well. It was also from ESCO. However, this one was from a different article from this year. He wrote that the NBA's Fruitful Basketball Without Borders program concluded its 17th year in Senegal this week with 60 of the Africa continent's top boys and girls players aged 17 and under participating in activities. This again just showed me how much basketball has spread throughout the past 17 years alone, how it's gone to a whole nother continent and became as popular as it is in America. Now that I've talked about the globalization of basketball, I'll move into the effects the NBA has had on the societal problems of America, and then I will finish up talking about the continuous growth of basketball in not just America, but in the world. The first relevant quote that I found was from an article in ABC News of this year. Thornbeck wrote, "The Milwaukee Bucks decided on Wednesday to not take the court for Game 5 of their series in response to the police shooting of Jacob Blake earlier this week." Many of us are probably familiar with that incident, so there's really no details needed to go into it. I would just say that this quote for me showed the NBA's stance on social injustice in America, a stance in which many of the other major sports organizations are not really willing to take, as well as they were advocating for their players, for social injustice, for a change in social injustice. Another quote that I found was from an ESPN article this year, written by Andrews and Spears. They wrote, "Thursday's NBA restart will see pregame demonstrations give way to the players unveiling a national audience league sanctioned message, including 'Say Her Name, I Can't Breathe, Education Reform, and Vote' on the back of their jerseys." This again just showed me the NBA's willingness to be forward thinking and to advocate for social justice in America. Now that I've talked about the effects the NBA has had on social justice in America, as well as earlier when I talked about the globalization of basketball, I will finish out with talking about the growth and popularity of the game of basketball throughout the world. I actually found a quote in a WSH article from 2018. It said the NBA, on the other hand, made $7.4 billion in revenue last year season, up 25% from the prior season when they made a total of $5.94 billion. This quote just exemplifies to me the uphill swing that the NBA is on in terms of popularity, as shown by the numbers. Another quote from the same article and the same source, just showing again another example of the uphill swing that the NBA, thus the game of basketball, is on. The NBA, on the other hand, says the ratings of its ESPN games are up by 18%, and its TNT telecasts have ratings that are up by 25%. Now that I've discussed the continuous growth of the popularity of basketball, as well as the effect the NBA has had on changing America's social climate and the globalization of basketball, hopefully I persuaded you all to feel as I do. As I said earlier, over the years, basketball has been seen as a lesser of the three sports. So hopefully with this information, you can formulate your own opinion. But hopefully I've persuaded you to do so and look at basketball as at least the same level as the MLB as well as the NFL. Now that I've shown you the globalization of basketball as well as the effect that the NBA has had on the social climate of America and the continuous growth of the NBA as well as the game of basketball, I hope that you can see that maybe my theory isn't so crazy at all when I'm talking about the uphill swing and the popularity of the game of basketball. I'll leave you all with a quote that sums up the popularity of basketball outside of America. Basketball is more than just a game in Lithuania. It is so popular that it is jokingly referred to as a country's second religion behind Catholicism. Thank you.